This is not financial or investment advice. The information provided is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And today we are going to be underwriting a home purchase in Pickerington, Ohio. Why Pickerington, Ohio? If you haven't seen how US-China tensions are affecting Ohio's real estate market video, go watch that if you want. But if not, I will just recap the value proposition for you guys right here. Ohio is getting loads of industrial and corporate investment near Columbus, in areas specifically close to Pickerington, Ohio, near Rickenbacker Airport. I believe that's how you say it. I'm not entirely sure. The important part is that tens of billions of dollars will be going into Ohio, bringing thousands of highly technical jobs. I believe that the housing market in Pickerington and some of the surrounding areas, including Columbus, is going to see a lot of growth within these next 5 to 10 years. That brings us to underwriting a house. I am going to go through the process. It's a very simple process. It's very basic, but for those of you who have never underwritten what a purchase would look like on an investment property, specifically single family residence, I am going to show that to you guys, or show you how I do it anyway. So here we have this photo on Milner Road. This is a house that I had my eye on that, as you can maybe see, I will put it up right here. As you can maybe see, it is now pending. So what does that mean? It's an escrow. They're likely past contingencies. It's likely going to sell within maybe the next week or two. So I was looking at this. This is not really relevant to the video, but I was looking at this when it was still for sale and not in escrow. And now that it's in escrow, I'm kind of getting FOMO, or fear that I missed out, because this is, I think, a really good deal. You can see that the list price is $327,000. The criteria for me to invest in one of these areas is you want to see good cash flow right out of the gate. Now, this is a vacant house, so you do not have a tenant. There are some upsides to this, there are some downsides to this. Because there is no tenant, you do not have a cash flowing model that you can base your numbers off of. So you're going to have to go off of what the market rents would be and what the comps that you've run in the area. How should you do this? One, you should call the agent on whatever listing you look at. Ask them what they think the house would rent for. Next, you're going to call pretty much every other house within probably a mile radius, or there are certain geographical features of these areas. Maybe there's a main road, so call every house on the side of the main road that your property is on, or the property that you're looking at is on. Call all those agents. Try to get a rough estimate of what a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house that's 2,100 square feet rents for, what a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house that's 1,700 square feet rents for, and then start putting that list together. You'll start to be able to tell what the price per square foot is for a rental. Maybe it's $1 per square foot. On this house, after doing some market research, after calling agents, after calling management companies and getting what they thought it would rent for, they said it would rent for about $2,700 a month. That's really, really good for this area, guys. $327,000 purchase price at $2,700 a month is pretty incredible. Why is $2,700 a month good? At the core of every good investment for a real estate property, you want to look at the cap rate. Cap rate is the net operating income divided by the purchase price, and that gives you a percentage. So let's say you buy a house for $1 million and you rent it out for $6,000 a month. $1,000 a month goes to expenses or whatever that may be, management company. That leaves you with $5,000 a month times 12. That is a 6% cap rate. And that is because it is $60,000 a year in net operating income divided by your purchase price, which is $1 million, which leaves you at 6%. A 4 to 6% cap rate is pretty standard in California. California is pretty stable. Los Angeles is pretty stable. Los Angeles is like its own island in terms of real estate markets. It doesn't follow the same trends that the national trends follow. It's a little more impervious to some economic downturns, making it a very nice and safe investment for people that might be out of state, out of country, or just to park money. But that means that in markets that people don't have as much optimism for, you can find better cap rates. The target that I set mentally is I want a 7% cap rate. 7 caps are awesome, right? You get 7% cash on cash of your investment, which is really great. And if you do enough market research, like I believe I did for a place like Pickerington, Ohio, you can also see the same type of equity growth that you would see in some of these more established markets, if not more. I think that some place like this will see more equity growth than you would in a large metropolitan area or a city. So you get to have best of both worlds, which is really nice. So like I said, I called management companies, I called agents, I had a few conversations, and the realistic price for rent per month that I was given for this property, or that I worked out for this property, is around $2,700 a month. So let's get into it. $2,700 a month, $32,400 a year. This is your gross. So this is your GOI, your gross operating income. If you can get it rented out for $2,700 a month, obviously times 12, $32,400 will be your gross income for the year. So let's talk about expenses. Now, like I said, I live in Los Angeles. I'm not going to be able to manage this property myself. So what are my options? The most realistic option is that you're going to get a management company. And a management company charges anywhere between 8 to 12% of what the gross rent is. So great. We already know that we're going to be maximum spending 12% on a management company. That is a cost. A good rule of thumb is to multiply your gross operating income by around 0.7 to 0.75, because typically you see 25% to 30% of your gross rental income being spent on expenses. This includes fixing the sink when it breaks, when the shower head needs to be fixed, or when the kitchen stove doesn't work, you have to send somebody out there. That's just the realities of being a landlord. What's nice is when you have a management company, they handle all of that for you. The tenant would reach out to the management company whenever there's a problem, and then the management company reaches out to you. This is nice for a whole load of reasons. Anybody who's managed their own property will know. If you manage your own property, you're getting calls at 2 a.m. You're going out there to fix things. You're going to Home Depot to buy things, to do things yourself. It's a huge headache. And obviously, if you own a rental property in a different state, that's just not realistic. So the management companies, that 8 to 12% figure, that's essentially the convenience fee of them handling everything. And it's nice too, because management companies have a network. They usually have multiple property owners, or the management company that you should use should have multiple people in their portfolio, which means that they have contractors that they work with all the time and other people that really reduce a lot of the headaches of being a property owner. That brings us back to our 0.7 to 0.75 figure. I typically do my math on the conservative side of things, so I'm going to do times 0.7. That leaves you with $22,680. That is your net operating income. These are obviously all made up numbers in the air. They don't really exist right now because you don't have a tenant. But these are some good things to base your math off of, at least initially, before you submit an offer. So now we're going to divide this by the purchase price of $327,000. I have a small feeling that it probably is an escrow for less than that, but let's just go off of what the listed price is. That leaves you with a 6.9% cap rate. That's really good. I just underwrote this whole deal and showed you how this property is giving you a 7% cash on cash return, and you'll likely see 5 to 7% of equity growth year over year for the next 5 years. These are obviously numbers that I've come up with. They could be completely wrong. We will just have to wait and see how it kind of pans out in this market. This is a market that I will absolutely be keeping my eye on. Anyways, those were my thoughts for today. I just wanted to film this video. Sorry, I'm in the formal attire. I was doing some work today. But let me know your thoughts down below. This was all like napkin math, but it was really just to demonstrate how you can underwrite and look at some of these properties and start qualifying them for investing. Let me know what you think down below, and like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, have a great day. See you guys later.